Tonight, Dr. Mike and I will explore the existential question: is pinball only playable in 4K? Question mark. Hi, everybody. I'm Kelly at KELLYTHUL on social media. And this is Bog Panda. Joining me, as always,
I am Dr. Mike at Official Pagan on everything. Make sure you guys like, subscribe, leave a couple of comments, go to one of our other videos like that, leave some comments, and continue down the line. Then you're going to want to check out our merch store. Of course, we're going to have Soda Cuck t-shirts and all kinds of other fun stuff on there. And of course, while you're doing all this, now that you've subscribed, which is totally free to you, with your free subscription, you also get a free subscription to Hard No, the world's shortest podcast. You can burn through like 100 episodes of that in like 100 minutes. It's great.
how could it be better? Hard to tell. But what's super interesting, we haven't talked about AtGames in a while, or AtGames Pinball. We have in the past. A pretty interesting development has occurred, which is as we've kind of covered it back, and anytime we've discussed pinball on the show, Mike shared pretty regularly that Addams Family is a favorite, longtime favorite, and lo and behold, at Games was listening to him, said, "Well, I know what we need to do then. We need to brand a virtual pinball or video pinball machine with Addams Family on the side art, on an extra topper that's all Addams Family, and we need to make it 4K, and we need to work with Zen Studios, who certainly know their way around um, video pinball or virtual pinball. So they have announced, available for pre-order, a Addams Family themed pinball machine. Um, how excited are you, sir?
This is kind of a mixed bag for me. I am excited. Adam's Family is a great pinball machine. If anyone hasn't played it, it is in fact the best selling pinball machine of all time. It's in Guinness World Records and all that stuff for it. I assume that means like units sold to arcades, not, aftermarket sales to people, things like that, or individuals buying it. But it was huge. I remember that pinball machine being absolutely everywhere, whether it was movie theaters, and it is branded after the Addams Family movie from the 90s, not the original TV show or any of the later incarnations of it.
Yeah, not the
Uh,
reboot. The first,
yeah,
the first.
yeah. And the first two movies, the Raul Julia ones, because there was a third movie, which a lot of people forget for good reason. A lot of people forget that happened. So it is branded after the movies, but as big as the movie was, that pinball machine was absolutely everywhere. I do live in a big city, so there was a lot of places that would have pinball machines or a couple of arcade games and things like restaurants and different things. And anyone that had anything like that had the Addams Family pinball.
But yeah, I loved playing it, and I mean it's definitely kind of my top five um, uh, pinball games. It's just great play, good looking machine, and
Yeah,
one that lends
absolutely.
itself pretty well to kind of going the virtual route and doing that. So those are some big upsides. Is that what with Zen Studios involved? The execution is going to be outstanding. That you're going to get really good comparable gameplay to what the true system was. Um, I was a little surprised at the price. In that it's going to come in at basically $1,500 list, but special early adopter pre-order kind of thing, you can trim that down to just a light $1,100, which the At Games pinball 1080p $800. So it's gonna come in $700 more than that, with the pre-order knocking that down to just being $300 more. But still, we have talked about the Legends pinball as well on here, and that $800 price point's been a tough one for us. And so to kind of say, well, how's this feel? Let me add We had
That's
another
that's really why it's kind of a mixed bag for me. Because as much as I love Adams Family Pinball, and I think the AtGames pinball stuff is excellent, there's no way that I'm putting out that much money for this.
No, I mean, once you start getting into that kind of money, you're able to get a good used actual arcade game, possibly pinball game, refurbished. So it's not going to be brand new, but you're going to be able to actually get the real thing. Pretty darn close to that price. Now, Adam's Family, not you'd have pay more of a premium for that, but yeah, the price was different. So I was trying to figure out and we'll just compare the list prices here. How do you almost double the value of a virtual pinball system? And so I kind of looked at it a little bit more and said, okay, so what are the deltas? What's making this thing worth charging almost twice as much as the AtGames pinball? So there's a really nice Addams Family topper that I expect is made out of cardboard that you're gonna be able to set on the top. So there's $5 taken care of. Check. We got
Done.
that. You now have, for the first time for AtGames, reasonable side art. so it is limited to the Addams Family movie branding, but they've struggled otherwise to give us some good looking side art on the cabinet, at least in my opinion. So slightly better side art. So we had $5. I'm going to give them $50 for better side art. And then I guess the big difference is because size wise, this is actually barely a little bit shorter, might be actually an inch shorter or less than the Legends pinball. It's a few inches wider than it, but also 6 inches shorter. So, or maybe I don't know if they're doing the whole kind of antenna thing and counting to the top of the Addams Family thing to say, oh, but I think it's a little bit shorter, a little bit not as deep, slightly wider, but really any of the difference is nothing significant there. So it's the same size unit. So then it comes down to me. What I kind of think is the final difference is, um, 4K versus 1080p, which I don't know for watching Avatar, probably worth it, but I'm probably not watching Avatar on my pinball machine. I'm not sure I need 4K graphics on my pinball machine, but maybe I'm wrong. Is that the only way you're going to play virtual pinball is at 4K?
No, I mean the 1080p on the Legends Mini looks great. So I mean, you can see a difference between the Gottlieb tables, which were 720, and then the newer packs that they've come out with, which are 1080. You can see the difference between those. Bumping it up from 1080 to 4K, I don't know it's going to be that much of it. It's certainly not going to be a double the price difference. And at a certain point, to the point that Kelly's making, you're playing pinball. It's not a movie. It's not, do you know what I mean? So, yeah, maybe it'll look a little clearer, I'm sure. And I'm a big fan of adopting new technologies and things like that, but it is pinball.
Yeah. Yeah, it's pinball and it's kind of arcade game kind of stuff, and that's the world where people reapply scan lines. So the idea of razor sharp definition isn't, I think, I mean, that's kind of current high end gaming uh benefit, I think, there, but I don't know, I'm just having a hard time seeing that's it. So I think between that, I guess the one thing that still doesn't justify, bumping it up almost 100%, but was nice to see, and this has been a frustration with AtGames, outside of them not sending us preview copies of stuff, which, maybe we'd be singing a different tune if we
Yeah.
got some Addams Family
If
pinball,
we each
but
had one of these that we could play, I mean,
we'd be able to speak much more directly to, oh, you must play it in 4K. But we do not have that frame of reference, and that's your fault AtGames. So we'll leave it at that. But uh, the frustration that I've had, I've fortunately not been bit by it, is the wonderful 90-day warranty that comes with most AtGames products. That I just slid under the radar with my AtGames Legends when I had a part of it go bad, and I went to a black screen shortly after getting it, and so I got all that taken care of for free, and it was a good deal. But this is going to come with a 1 year warranty, which is what it should always be, in my opinion. But so the warranty is better, but the box isn't much bigger, really. Or it's actually maybe a little smaller. You do get the 4K stuff. You do get better side art. It is, connected to Adams. It's a hard lean into a very famous pinball machine. So that part's kind of cool. So I think it would look kind of particularly nice down in your basement or wherever you have your arcade machines. So I think it'd be a nice addition visually. But I mean, when I was struggling to pull the trigger with Legends Pinball, as soon as I saw the price, I just started going up and down, going, so what is there, like a gold bar in the bottom of this? Is there, what else have they done?
Christina Ricci delivers it to your house, signs
Right.
it for you.
She starts it up for you. She's always there.
Christina Ricci hangs out at your house now.
Yeah. Yeah. And for that, okay, I probably would probably would be willing to spend. So
For my new best friend, Christina Ricci, sure.
Yeah. That seems outside of possible human trafficking charges, it seems like a good idea. So but yeah, and so actually if you want to make up for lost time here at Games and send us review copies along with her,
Along with Christina Ricci,
put her, and then load up, get her a bunch of tickets so that she can fly back and forth between the two destinations, and we'll Mike and I will work out a rotation. So we're willing to go the extra mile for you at Games. So
Christina custody.
Yep. That'll be, I don't want to talk about it. So, I have thoughts, ideas, and none of them are gonna work or be a t-shirt. So we'll see. Yeah, I bought this pinball machine and all I got was Christina Ricci. So yep, no t-shirt. Cool. Well, I mean, it looks super cool. It's just one of those things that, how cool is the impact of the pocketbook kind of parked it for me in that. But I just think it's awesome what they're doing. I think it's a great idea. It's just cost too much for me.
Yeah, this is an absolute no at that price point.
So let us know in the comments if we're being skinflints and we just need to do it. Or if you're thinking about doing it, or straighten us out on if we have undersold the beauty of 4K pinball and the difference between that and 1080. That'd be good to know. I'm hard pressed to believe that the difference is twice the price type of thing, but talk us out of it. But as Mike says, we're right and you're wrong. that's to quote
That
Dr.
works.
Mike. It's on his business card. I'm right, you're wrong. But straighten us out. Let us know if you feel a little bit differently. Anything else add on this fine new addition to the AtGames family?
Not too much to add. I am curious now because you said that the Addams Family pinball is definitely in your top 5. I am curious, what's your favorite all-time pinball machine?
So Bullfighter, which is like a mid-early 1960s one, is one there, but that's because I used to own Bullfighter and so became kind of enamored with it for that. So that one's up there. I feel I'm remiss in getting the name of it now. I think it might have been called Apollo Soyuz, but there was one around the time when they had the Apollo and the Soyuz mission of the Russian spacecraft and the American spacecraft docking. They put out a pinball machine kind of themed to that, and it was just super cool looking and really, really good play. and that would probably be my kind of all-time favorite. But then probably Addams Family's in there next. Where would outside of Addams Family for you? What's a good one?
Kind of around the same time, maybe a little bit before it, but there was a pinball machine tied into the 1990s Francis Ford Coppola Dracula movie.
Oh yeah, you've mentioned that
And
before. Yeah.
yeah, not only was that a really great pinball machine, just a really great design. It looked really cool. It had a great playing board. It incorporated video game elements to it as well. It was one of the first ones that had that sort of dot matrix LED scoreboard on there, which would switch to a very like lo-fi video game, like first person shooter kind of thing. And you would use the flippers for these short little segments in between balls and things like that. So that was other games have done that. That was the first one that I was exposed to with it though. And it just incorporated really well and made it more immersive into the movie and the tie-in with that.
Yeah, it's interesting because in a weird collision of technologies, the Meta Quest 2 um VR pinball. So I've got one of my favorite ones to play there, the Star Wars pinball setup they got there. Super cool, really, really fun, cool tables. But a number of the Star Wars tables in the VR world have the dot matrix game. So you uh you get to a certain level point, you got to look up, and you're basically doing the same thing, but you're doing it through the VR setup. So it's pretty cool.
Nice.
It's almost like putting a ROM on a floppy disk and then playing it on your AtGames Legends, something like that.
Yeah. Putting a ROM onto a floppy disk, playing it through a C64 connected to your Games Legends,
Yeah, it's like that.
Instead of just playing it on your computer.
I don't know who would do something that crazy, but maybe I don't know, there'll be a link in the end of this video that could take you to some documentation on who'd be crazy enough to do something like that.
Sounds like a genius.
Bog Panda.